Breaking news! New update on the Ray Rice scandal. All the details you've been dying to know about Ray's assault on his now wife? Wait, what? Guess he knocked some sense into her because she finally wanted to put a ring on it. Plus, in light of Ray's scandal, we're taking it way back with a special segment we're calling Throwback Thursday. We're taking a look at some of the most shocking, ridiculous, and even hilarious scandals of notorious pro athletes turned criminals. All this and more on
The way this whole Ray Rice scandal is currently being handled just isn't right. I mean, something's weird is up. First, let's talk about the way the NFL is handling this because we now know that the NFL never contacted the casino where Rice assaulted his wife took place, and they never asked to see the tapes.
Yeah, the whole thing really just doesn't make that much sense. I mean, everyone knew that he hit his wife in that elevator. He knocked her out cold. There were a bunch of witnesses. The prosecutor had a copy of the elevator tape, and he was already charged and indicted by the grand jury.
Exactly. So the question remains is why does the NFL continue to practice such blatant denial when regards to this whole event?
Well, here's the thing. Even if Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, sat down with Ray and his wife and heard their side of the story, the only thing he could really do is say, I hear where you're coming from, but it's my responsibility as the commissioner to take a look at this tape, see what I think happened, and I have full responsibility of your fate in this situation. I decide what happens to you guys.
But he's choosing to ignore this situation. He keeps saying that that the video, that they've never seen it before, and that they can't get it, and the casino doesn't have it. But we all know the casino has it, and that the prosecutor actually has seen the video. They're just denying that this event took place.
Well, they're denying access to having the tape, and they're just trying to cover their asses. I can guarantee you that they heard about the assault, they didn't investigate further, they just suspended him so that they would look good, so that they performed some sort of sanction on Ray Rice.
And it's only a 2-game suspension too, which is kind of the problem right there.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess they really don't have much of a choice at this point. They already handed down their punishment. They can't really go back on it.
Well, it's just bizarre that Goodwill is notorious for being harsh with these punishments of other players. Is just sitting back and wiping his hands with this one. Okay, yeah, Ray Rice has developed a reputation for being an extremely charitable and all-around good guy. So it's Goodwill's trying to protect the good guy image. And if so, why? What kind of relationship do they have?
Well, we can't really blame Roger Goodell solely for this whole situation because no one in the general event handled any of it well. So Ray Rice's wife said that he's a good guy, he's a stand-up guy after he knocked her ass out. She thinks he doesn't deserve all the negative attention. So she thinks the media is doing this for better ratings, but it's not really about the media. It should be more about ethics than media coverage.
Yeah, they were just charged with the misdemeanor assault. Once they saw the video, police and the DA dismissed the charges. I mean, it's kind of like putting it out there saying, oh, hey, we support domestic violence.
Okay, I think what we can conclude here is that everyone needs to be held more accountable, and the way this whole situation has been handled has really set a bad example, and it kind of reflects on the NFL because we don't know what stance they're going to take on future domestic abuse cases. So we really have to wait it out and see what's going to result from this whole situation.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think that's the only way they're going to handle it is just wait and see how NFL handles this.
when we come back, throwing more punches with our special segment called Throwback Thursday. All right, welcome back to TMZ for our special edition of Throwback Thursday. We are looking specifically at professional athletes who have turned into criminals. So first, we're going to throw way back to one of the most notorious scandals of all time. We're going to talk about O.J. Simpson. Yes, Mr. O.J. Simpson. The former professional football star and actor was tried on 2 counts of murder after the deaths of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown, and a waiter named Ronald Lyle Goodman. And this happened in June of 1994. The case has been described as the most publicized criminal trial in American history. Simpson was acquitted after a trial that lasted more than 8 months.
The question that everyone asks to this day is, how the hell did he get away with this?
And the simple but unfortunate answer is the jury just fudged up. I mean, they dropped the ball on that one. It was obvious there was a lot of evidence against him, and they just decided that for some reason, whatever reason, to acquit him.
We're going to look at some of the other athletes that were not as lucky as OJ, but were still lucky when it came to prosecution. They were actually more lucky than the average American citizen.
So, sticking with the whole murder theme we have going on, do you guys remember Jason Williams? He played for the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Nets. Well, in 2010, this guy accidentally shot his limo driver. So in 2010, he pled guilty to assault. And in New Jersey, the state where he was sentenced, the minimum sentence for manslaughter is 10 to 20 years, and you have to serve 85% of the sentence before you're eligible for parole. But he was eligible for parole after 18 months, so he only served 5 years out of a possible 20.
Even though this was an accidental shooting and he had to express great remorse to his actions, it's still ridiculous that he got 5 years for killing someone, that he was released so early for his parole. I mean, this guy, when you're African American is sentenced, he serves the full time. He doesn't get out early. And this guy got out 18 months he was eligible for parole. That's just ridiculous.
One of our reporters actually ran into Williams the other day, and get this, he used to watch TMZ regularly with his fellow inmates, and they used to place bets on the exact time that we would start every morning, our morning meeting. And yeah, take a look. We have a video.
Hey, what's up, big dog? What's the deal, bro?
On, man? How you been,
Dude, man, hurt, bro.
Birthday.
I'm a Jersey boy.
Yeah.
So, wait, you were on the Brooklyn shirt? Are you kidding me? I can't support the team since they left us. Do you still root for the Nets even though they left Jersey?
Always root for the Nets.
You gotta?
Always.
Dude, since they left
Always
New
the
Jersey,
Nets.
it's hard for me to, well, since you left and since they left town, it's hard for me to root for them.
Let me tell you something. You know, when I used to be in prison,
Yeah.
you guys come on. What time you coming on? 7:05, 7:10.
Yeah.
So I used to call up somebody, hey, what time you coming on? And Harvey walks in at 7:05, and that's how we used to bet.
Get out of here.
But everybody in prison, and Harvey says he's big in prison,
Yeah.
but everybody says, whoo, he sure does have a pretty mouth. And he's a lawyer, and
man.
he drinks a lot too. So he would definitely be a problem, have some problems in Rikers.
Yeah, how do you think you would do well there or not do so well? As far as he'd be a treat.
He got a pretty mouth, I can tell you that.
My man.
My man.
Good to see you, bro. Seriously, you're a good guy, bro.
I can't believe Williams, of all people, watches TMZ.
Speaking of reporters running into famous criminals, another one of our reporters ran into Mike Tyson the other day. You guys remember when he was convicted of rape back in '92? Well, our reporter had some balls that he wanted to remind Tyson of what happened. So just take a second to watch how Mike Tyson reacted to that.
How you feeling, champ? Mike Tyson. Yeah. At JFK. Our camera guy, Jeremy, has a ginormous set of balls. Really? He's arriving. He's taking pictures with fans. Mike Tyson's being all nice, and we're like,
You look good, man.
and we say, silly question.
I know you're. Are you still active? Sexually active?
His eyes dart at our guy so quickly.
He's like, I'm about to be. And Miley Cyrus thinks nobody over 40 is sexually active.
Married. And you kind of see the calm come over Mike Tyson.
I didn't mean it in distasteful taste, sir.
Our guy was clearly very nervous at that moment.
It's funny. Have a great fight. Thank you, Mr. Tyson.
He totally tried to turn around that comment because Mike Tyson looked like he was going to knock him out.
The former undisputed heavyweight champion holds the record as the youngest boxer to win the WBC, WBA, and IBF heavyweight titles. Tyson was sentenced to 9 years after being convicted of a rape, but he only served 3 years in prison. He's still a beloved figure in the boxing world, and Hollywood has even enlisted his part in a lot of successful roles in movies.
It's really sad, you see the same pattern play out over and over again. The big public figures in sports constantly get away with sexual assault. I mean, coming out of these cases with minimal sentences and minimal backlash from the public as well. Not only does the justice system need to start implementing harsher punishments on these men, but the public needs to start holding them accountable and, yes, like shaming them on a regular basis. And I'm glad our reporter at least had some balls to do it. Next on TMZ, we'll take a look back at one athlete that faced huge criticism from the public masses. Yes, we're throwing Michael Vick to the dogs. When we come back.
Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other has to say. Reminiscing this and that and having such a good time. Oodle lolly, golly, what a day.
You guys remember Michael Vick, an American football quarterback who is currently a free agent? He had previously played for the Atlanta Falcons, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Jets. But most of you know him as the football player who ran a huge dogfighting ring and quickly became America's most hated professional athlete. Because everyone knows that professional athletes are notoriously able to get away with crimes against the fellow humans, but throw in some animal cruelty and suddenly we've got a huge uproar on our hands. Vick and his associates operated under the aptly named Bad News Kennels, which housed and trained over 50 pit bull dogs and staged dog fights, killing the dogs, and ran a huge stakes gambling ring.
What amazes me is even after the public criticism Mike Vick received, he was only sentenced to 23 months in prison, and he still got out early, and his only sanction was house arrest.
Well, he's been having a rough time being adopted back onto the team and is currently a free agent. If you ask me, he should be dismissed from the league altogether.
Yeah, I mean, can you honestly imagine the group of fans that would actually back that man?
I mean, even if a team is willing to take him, it's going to be a very reduced salary. I'm sure a lot of the fans are going to look at it controversially. He's never going to fully recover from this event that he got into, but I don't think he should ever have the chance to continue his career at all.
All right, let's move on to one of the more ridiculous crimes professional athletes commit. Whenever you have a case of a pro athlete who makes millions of dollars, whenever you have someone convicted of robbery, I mean, all you can do is kind of shake your head and laugh because, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Right. Absolutely, and such is the case with the former Ohio State football rusher and UFI Omaha Nightweeks player Maurice Clarence. He was charged with 2 counts of arms robbery and carrying a concealed weapon without the permit. He was given a sentence of 7.5 years with eligible for parole after 3.5 years. In this state of Ohio, the first offense for armed robbery is 3 to 10 years, and with a chance of parole after 90% of the sentence was served.
Okay, now this is what I like to see. This is the first case we've discussed today where the punishment handed down is consistent with state law, and I can tell that the judge had no sympathy for a millionaire who's still trying to rob someone. He's on a full ride scholarship to college, and he might not be making the same amount of money that most NFL players make, but he's not hurting for money either. So he has absolutely no reason to be robbing someone, let alone robbing someone with a deadly weapon.
Still to come, we rehash our favorite police report from 2008 and catch up with the man himself, Charles Barkley. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to TMZ, where we're throwing it back to our favorite criminal cases involving professional athletes. Next up, we're looking back at one of the most hilarious police reports we've ever covered involving former NBA player Charles Barkley.
New Year's Eve, 2008. I believe it was 2008.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley was busted in Scottsdale, Arizona for a DUI. He was initially pulled over because he failed to stop at a stop sign, and when the officer questioned him, he said, Charles Barkley said that he was on his way to participate in oral sex around the corner. So he asked the officer to admit that the girl he was with was hot, and he later explained that the woman had given him a blowjob a week earlier, and it was the best one he had ever had in his life. So when Barkley was taken back to the station, he asked a civilian employee to help him get out of the DUI, and he incorrectly said he would tattoo his name on the employee's ass if the employee helped him. And then he later corrected himself and said that he would tattoo the employee's name on his ass.
Because that's much better.
The report goes on to state that there was a loaded handgun in the vehicle, and that was definitely impounded. We don't know if the handgun was legal or not, but it is a little scary to have Charles Barkley walking around with a loaded handgun in his car.
Yes.
So Barkley ended up pleading guilty, and he was sentenced to 10 days in jail. But this sentence was reduced. He only served 3 days in prison and had to complete an alcohol treatment program. And normally the sentence for a DUI in Arizona, the minimum sentence in Arizona, is 1 to 10 days in jail, a $250 fine, a license suspension up to 9 months, and the use of an ignition interlock device that doesn't allow you to drive your car if you have any alcohol in your system.
See, in my opinion, Charles Barkley is like one of those guys. He's kind of like a Bill Clinton, where he's like, he's good at what he does. He has a very charismatic personality, and he has a great career. I mean, this guy is an analyst for on Inside the NBA. But every time you look at him, you just like shake your head and you remember that one incident, and you just can't take the guy seriously anymore.
Poor Chuck.
So we actually ran into him the other day at a Vegas bar, and needless to say, he is loving himself.
Oh, he looks like he's having a little too much fun there. Shows how much these athletes are able to pick themselves up from the crimes they committed and move on with their lives.
Well, the criminal justice system has definitely worked in athletes' favor many a times, but we don't see the professional leagues like the NFL, the NBA, or even fans hold athletes responsible for this behavior. And I think the segment we had today, our throwback clips, have definitely demonstrated that. These athletes have been able to just kind of put all these indiscretions behind them and get on with their lives, and they're welcomed back into mainstream society pretty easily. So I think we need to address that. We need to kind of hold them a little more accountable for their actions.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, that's all the time we have today. See you tomorrow.